for those of you who, aren't a 100% sure deal about coming here, 10 reasons why you should not move to Chicago. So let's talk about these 10 reasons that I've come up with. So the first reason not to move to Chicago are higher taxes. Now, Chicago has some of the highest property taxes in the country. The bigger cities, the more expensive cities, the San Franciscos, the New Yorks, those kind of cities are very expensive to run. And because of that, the taxes are high. I mean, the city of Chicago is going to produce more things for the people here. They're going to have their snow trucks out, they're salting. In the summertime, they're going to have water trucks. There's all kinds of things that are done in these big cities, and everybody wants to be taken care of. And the other thing is Illinois has state income tax. So that's an important part because not every state has that. Now, these financial burdens can be a deterrent for many potential residents. Things are different in Chicago. It's a great town, but it's one of the first things you have to deal with. The second thing that I feel is, the second reason is the harsh winters. So the winter season in Chicago can really be brutal with freezing temperatures, heavy snow, and frequent wind chills. For those unaccustomed to cold climates, this can be a difficult adjustment. Now, let's go into what's happened over the course of the last 3.5 years. In the last 3.5 years, I, for instance, have not used my snowblower because we've gotten a lot less snow than we used to get. Now, is this part of global warming? I believe it is. I believe that this could be a great city to live in if the temperatures change enough in Chicago. So maybe it doesn't get as cold in the wintertime. Maybe we don't get as much snow in the wintertime. The third reason not to come to Chicago is the crime rates. While crime is a concern in every major large city, Chicago's been known to have higher than average crime rates, especially in certain neighborhoods. Now, let's take me, for example. I've lived here my entire life. I used to watch the local news. And the first thing they do on the local news was talk about, oh, there was a murder on the west side of Chicago. Oh, there was a murder on the south side of Chicago. I mean, the sensationalism was totally unbelievable. So people from outside of Chicago are going to know. They're going to look at it and say, wow, what a horrible town. There's all these murders and this and that. But let's talk realistic. I live here, right? There's certain areas, and they're big areas, that I would not go into, not just because they have high crime rate, but there's nothing in those areas that I personally find that there's something there for me. Like, do they have great restaurants in these areas? Do they have sports venues in that area? So I don't get into those kind of areas because there's nothing there for me. So I stay out of it. I got to tell you, I've lived here my entire life. I know that crime can happen anywhere, and it does. But I personally, as long as you stay away from certain areas, and anyone who lives here will know where those areas are. Hey guys, it's Barry Newman. As much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love more, and that's helping families and people from all over the United States make the move here to Chicago. I've helped countless families make the move. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here and linked in the description in case you miss the on-screen pop-up. I look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Chicago. Let's go to reason number 4, traffic congestion. Now, Chicago is notorious for traffic, particularly during rush hour, the complex roadways and limited public transportation. For instance, we just had one of our major highways that takes you from the north suburbs of Chicago into Chicago downtown. Now, more people work in downtown Chicago than anywhere else. There's over 3 million people. Cook County, which takes in Chicago, is the second largest county in the United States. So there's a lot of people who are commuting to and from downtown Chicago. Now, there is pretty good public transportation, and they're building, and there's more and more. But there are people who work downtown that need a car. It's just the way it works. I talk to people about things like that, but they always have public transportation. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get off at every possible street, because you can't. When you get into Chicago, the main metro terminal is west of downtown. So if you're working downtown, you have to, find a way to get in. A lot of people walk. Some people may take a cab, an Uber, whatever the case may be. But now, this highway, they just finished the construction. It's been taking almost 2 hours to get into downtown, and now they're opening the express lanes, which will cut at least an hour off of your ride, driving in. And sure, if you could avoid the rush hour times, that's a big savings. So you could really make it in if you plan your in and out of Chicago a little better. It's just being smart. If you want to run with everybody else and run into all this traffic, you can do that. The next reason not to come to Chicago is the cost of living. Wow. Not as expensive as cities like New York and San Francisco, the cost of living in Chicago is still relatively high compared to other mid-sized cities. Now, we're not a mid-sized city. We are right now the third largest city in the United States, but Houston is going to pass us very soon, so we'll be fourth. It just costs more money to do more things, right? You're talking about the cost of eating out. You're talking about the cost of groceries. Now, groceries shouldn't make a difference if it's in Chicago or if it's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Groceries are groceries. Gas prices. Our country is producing more oil than anywhere in the world. Now, people think that just because of that, we should get a deal on our gas. But these are private companies. They have stockholders, and they have to make money for their stockholders. So they're not about to start giving discounts just because we're in the United States. It just doesn't work that way, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. The next reason is the air quality. Chicago air quality has faced a lot of challenges due to heavy industry, traffic, and pollution from nearby areas. So if you have some type of respiratory issue, it can affect you. But I don't travel a lot, but I have traveled in the past. Like, I remember spending about a month in Taiwan. I mean, the air quality was terrible. Oh my God, was it bad? It's not so bad here. And because I've been to New York, because I've been to Texas, because I've been to LA, I don't find it to be any better or worse than any of those other cities. So we're really dealing pretty much on a status quo, right? Now, let's get back to the 7th reason, which is also property taxes. Chicago's property taxes are among the highest in the country. This can be particularly discouraging for homeowners as it adds significantly cost for living in the city. So there's a lot of high-end properties And a lot of it is based on your address, the size of your home, what you paid for it. So if you're living in $1 million home, your taxes are going to be about $25,000 if you're in Cook County. Now there's a road up north in the north suburbs called Lake Cook Road. For some people, they realize one side is Cook, one side is Lake County. Once you get to Lake County, you're going to be paying 1/4 to 1/2 point higher in property taxes. So if that's really important to you, wouldn't it be a smart decision to live on the Cook side and save some money there? But there's a lot of expenses when you live in a major city like Chicago. It takes a lot of money to run Chicago. So that's one of the reasons why property taxes are so high. Thinking about relocating to Chicago, Illinois and neighboring suburbs? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I've linked it down below, from top employees, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you need to know before making the move. The best part of this guide, it's 100% free. That's right, you heard it right from me, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment, and I hope that helps. In fact, I know it will help. The 8th reason is limited green spaces. So while Chicago does have some beautiful parks and lakeside views, I mean, we're right on Lake Michigan, for God's sakes, it's fabulous. It lacks the widespread green spaces found in other cities. Okay, well, yeah, we all get that. But one of the things when, there was 2 dailies, a father and son, and they believed in parks. So they put in a lot of parks all over Chicago, which is really great. I know that when my son was young, we were always at the parks in Chicago. Now we're in the suburbs, so there's a lot more. There's the Botanic Gardens, for instance, which is an absolutely incredible place. There's botanic gardens all over the world. So it's not as bad as people would think. And it's a really good reason why a lot of people do move to the suburbs, because they have more green space. They have more parks, they have more schools. And really the suburbs have kind of taken over. There's a reason why people live in Chicago, and there's a reason why people live in the suburbs. Both are great, but there are different reasons. Now, 9 is the political climate, and Chicago has a complex political landscape. This is really a democratic city. If you're going to vote Republican, you're probably not going. Your political party is probably not going to. If it's a Republican, they're not going to win. That's just the way it is. But it's that way in every state and city. So if you go to California, it's a Democratic state, right? If you go to Alabama, it's a Republican state. So do I find this to be difficult here? No, I don't find it to be difficult. I mean, if you're a pretty smart person, and anyone watching this, I'm sure, is very smart, they're going to vote for the candidate that they think is the best candidate, right? Whether you're going to vote for Biden, whether you're going to vote for Trump, I mean, these are choices you have to make. And lastly, the 10th reason not to come to Chicago is the unpredictable weather. So in addition to harsh winters, Chicago's weather is kind of unpredictable, with sudden temperature swings and erratic seasons. Now, I wrote that, but I don't totally believe it because, like I said, the last 3 years the winters have been really mild and the summers have been beautiful. And then we have 2 seasons that some places don't have, spring and fall. I love spring and fall. Now, spring usually starts later than I would like it to. So usually you're talking May. I think summer starts June 21st. and I believe fall starts September 21st. I'm not sure of the dates, and fall can be tremendous. Now, I'm a golfer, so fall in particular, I could play golf into November, possibly, not always, but they're great seasons. It's important to note that Chicago has its share of advantages too. I mean, there are so many advantages that I think outweigh the disadvantages, such as cultural diversity. I think that's so important. People don't look at that. This is a great city, but I've given you some reasons why maybe you should consider not coming here. If you need more information about any of that, please don't hesitate to contact me. I really want to help everybody I can. That's my goal at this point of my life, is helping people make decisions on living and what they should or shouldn't know about Chicago. I'm 100% honest, so I'll tell you exactly the way it is. With that being said, thank you very much for watching and listening, and hopefully you'll contact me if you have any questions. So thank you.